it is the greatest privilege of my professional career to have this opportunity, and this is the stuff I've been dealing with since I was a kid. Yeah. It's this sort of is the stuff I spend my free time daydreaming about as an adult as well, and I get to bring it into life. And there is no greater reason than I joined the industry than doing something like this, and I'm very happy to be here.
Prepare your ears, humans. Happy, Sad, Confused begins now.
I'm Josh Horowitz, and today on Happy, Sad, Confused, we have a returning champion, I believe for the third time on the podcast, and a newcomer to the podcast. He's a glutton for punishment. He was just on the show. He's back for more. They are reteaming after many years apart on a wonderful, awesome, super fun new movie called ARGYLLE, and more importantly, they're teaming up for Happy, Sad, Confused today. It's Matthew Vaughn and Henry Cavill. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, hello. Thank you very much.
Hello.
It's good to see you both. Congratulations on the movie. I'll gush on the record, too. I mean, I gushed off mic, which is meaningless because it's more important for them to actually see it on camera. Right, Matthew?
It'd be nice.
Yeah. The movie's awesome. It's super fun. I've seen it twice. Didn't have to, wanted to. So I encourage everybody to check it out. Matthew, when we were chatting about this just a few months back, we talked a little bit about the challenges of something like this, the excitement of something like this, which is, well, based on IP technically.
I'm not sure how many lies I said to you. I've had the time of my life doing this press because I've just been lying. The greater the spy, the bigger the lie, and it's a whole new new arena, the world of lies. And,
continue, please. I love it.
So it's been fun saying some truths, some mistruths, some upside down truths. But go see the movie, and it will all work itself. Well, hopefully you now seen it.
It does make sense.
After you interviewed about it, were you in there? Did you feel satisfied by maybe being a little bit misled, or were you irritated, or did it hopefully make you just go, all right?
There was no irritation. There was sheer. I let myself go with the ride and came out of it with some questions, but a satisfying experience that. You don't want one of those things that just like, oh, you got to wait 3 more years for the next one for this to be satisfying. You need it to work on its own, and this one does.
Okay. I'm interested what the questions are.
Well, we'll get there. We're going to do spoilers a little bit later on.
Oh, spoiler questions.
But the challenges.
I'm not interested in the questions.
The challenges and excitement of delivering something like this that, ARGYLLE doesn't mean anything to anybody before the marketing campaign of this began. Now, you've been through this to a degree before.
I go through the pain and the torture of trying to do new IP, and and I'd say to studios in the past, present, probably in the future, when Star Wars, when Raiders, when these E.T., when these movies came out, Back to the Future, they were fresh original IP. They weren't based on anything in the sense that they were new. Right, yeah. And then I think marketeers just got comfortable with just saying they wanted branded IP in the studio. The studio's like branded IP. That's all they've been looking for, and I'm learning it even on this. What's hard when you're trying to launch new IP is, in theory, you need to spend more money because you need to educate people what the IP is, and you can't just do the same rules for branded IP because it's non-branded, and that's why a lot of non-branded IP doesn't work because it wasn't given the more chance, and because it's unbranded IP, the studio don't want to spend more money on it. They would rather spend much more money on Superman or Bond or Harry Potter, and I'm like, spend less money on that, guys. You just got to put the date up. We all know what that is already. Yeah, you can, but if you really want to create new stuff, you've got to be brave and you have to commit. So we're going through it now. ARGYLLE, it's not easy to get people to lean in or understand what it is. And I hope, why we're doing this is like, guys, is if the audience complains they don't have enough fresh movies, they got to support fresh movies. It's simple as that, and give it a chance, and then they'll get rewarded with more. So it's a vicious circle that we're trying to break right now.
So before we get to ARGYLLE, I do want to talk about your connections in the past, because this goes way back to Stardust, of course, 2007.
Yes.
Henry, give me a sense of where you were at in your life when that came around, because by looking at the career, you were a working actor. You had a prosperous career. You'd done kind of Monte Cristo. Maybe Tudors was around the corner.
Yeah.
Was it a big opportunity, a big moment to get into the audition room for Matthew Vaughn and Stardust at the time?
Obviously, yes. I think it's interesting that you said, I was a working actor, had my career going. At that stage of a career, you don't feel like you have your career going at all. Yeah. It takes like a solid 15 years and go like, I guess they're not things are going okay. Yeah. It was wonderful working with Matthew because I just got to see what it was like working on one of those movies where you're working with a director who has a particular vision. And I'd worked with Kevin Reynolds before as well, fantastic director. But this was my other big movie. And Matthew was very generous with all of us. I have a lasting memory of us all spending time with him in his house. And that was a really, really good experience because you got to see the mind of the person who's creating the thing and also spend time with the person. And you realize that there is a life outside of just the work on set. And coming from the sort of background I came from, it's all about work, work, work. And Matthew showed me that it can be both. And I think I'd forgotten that lesson for many years. But then being back on set, you're reminded and you think, oh, this can be fun and it can be about connections and you're supposed to have a great time. And Matthew's just good at cultivating that environment.
I would also imagine, just as, again, our many conversations about the kind of films and stuff we were raised on, that was basically the first kind of genre project you'd done. Yeah. So it must have been exciting just to be in that world.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was there so briefly, mind.
Well, you made an impact, Humphrey.
Yeah. I love seeing people's faces. They're like, oh my God, that was you in that movie.
What is it with you and giving him unusual haircuts in movies? It goes back to Humphrey. People are talking about this one.
When you're blessed with this face, it gives you poetic license to have a little bit more fun with it.
I mean, he was the first person to give me the moustache. Right. Yeah.
Mission Impossible, eat your heart out.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. It's. I suppose actually one of the great things is that Matthew allows me to be characters, which a lot of people don't. They want me to be a certain thing, and so I'm really enjoying acting more now, being a bit more loose and enjoying playing something left of stoic.
Right. Yeah, and there's some inherent
left of stoic. I like
that.
We went to the same school, which you're old Stoics.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So do you remember what you saw in that first audition way back when?
Well, with Henry, charm, and Humphrey was meant to be sort of what's the word? A dick, right?
I was waiting. I was really curious.
I was trying to
find
but he had to have a charm to him, especially at the end. And I was always wanting the look that you have between De Niro and yourself at the end was it's priceless. And I knew Henry could do that. Like Henry would. I just knew he could do it. I had no doubt. No doubt.
I would imagine your audition days, if not entirely behind, maybe entirely behind you. Do you relish that at this point? Like, were you somebody that enjoyed that? I talk to actors that have so many different kind of feelings about auditioning. Like, it's an opportunity, or just it gnaws them up inside, or...
I mean, yeah, all auditions are opportunities. There's no doubt about that. But they are also... It is... I don't know what the process is like now, but certainly back in my day, horrific process. It's terrible. I mean, this room has more character than the rooms you'd sit in typically. It'd be sort of a white office room.
It's horrific doing the audition.
I bet.
Because these people come in and you know how desperately they want the part. And it's horrible just thinking, A, only one person's going to get it. But also it's terrible. Some people come in, and I used to sometimes watch X Factor with Simon Cowell going, God, it is what it's like. And there are some people that they just don't want to act. They want to be famous. And it's terrible. They come in and I'm like, why are you wasting my time and everyone's time? It's unfair. And I think, but auditioning, I actually feel I really do try and help people through the audition, and I have casting directors going, why are you being so nice to these people? Why are you they're useless. Get them out of the room. Right. It's so odd because the environment, normally you're reading like with someone who can't, because acting is also reacting to the person that you're acting to, and you've got someone who's with a cigarette. Well, it used to be like a cigarette, and then sort of
just reading off a page,
badly,
sort of slightly deadpan, and watching you with judgy eyes, and you're like,
if they're even watching you,
exactly, right. Or they're they got a picture of the they're looking at a picture of another actor right in front of you with a big tick next to it. It's tough. It's a really horrible, but I'm more interested. We talked about this coming over in chemistry tests,
right?
Because even you can cast the two greatest actors in the world, but they still might not have chemistry together,
right?
And that's the unknown. So I'm a big believer in chemistry tests, even with movie stars, and I say it protects you, me, and the audience. So
yeah,
it's important.
And touching on both of those things, it's sometimes you just have a bad audition,
right?
And it doesn't mean you're a bad actor, but then that cast director goes, "Oh, they're terrible," or that director says you're terrible. I did an audition for Patrick Stewart many moons ago for The Lion in Winter, and I walked in there, and Patrick's there doing sort of the reading with you, and I completely dropped the ball. I just screwed up the audition. Sometimes it happens. It's like doing a bad take or having a bad couple of takes on set. And afterwards, I called my agent. I said, I screwed the pooch on that one. I got it wrong. And he said, well, do you want to go back in? And I was like, I don't want to bother like Patrick Stewart. I don't want to sort of say I want to go back in. He said, look, just go on back in. It's fine. So he called the casting director, got me back in a few hours later. And afterwards, after I'd sort of relaxed and gone, well, I've ruined it already, so I might as well just go in there and do the thing. Yeah, nothing to lose. Yeah. And Patrick Stewart said to me afterwards, he said, I'm really glad you came back. Thank you. And that was a big eye-opening moment for me, where I realized it was okay to not get it right every time.
Right.
But also saying that's why the auditioning process is so harsh, because it's not a great read on whether an actor is a good actor or not. It's just whether
such a specific circumstance. It's a different skill set in some ways.
Yeah. Someone could be great at auditions and terrible on set.
Yeah.
And
vice versa.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why I bring this up, and we talked about this before, I mean, you can and should take such pride in your casting over the years. I mean, dating all the way back, Layer Cake on. I'm curious, like, does it feel like at this point you have this kind of like coterie of actors that you could call upon and think of when when a new project comes around? And there are a couple here that we've seen in previous films.
Popped up, yeah.
So how does casting work at this point? When something like Argylle comes up, can you instinctively just think, oh, Henry would actually be perfect for that?
Well, when I work on the characters, Henry just had a moment, and I'll say it again because he looked so surprised, and I quite like that. It's like, I imagine old movie stars, so I'm free to cast, and I find people I think will channel what I'm hoping for, but then give it a unique spin. So for me, Argylle was a mixture of Connery and Roger Moore, right? Wow. So when he fought, I wanted it to be Connery.
Easy
test.
The
thing is, now that I've heard it once, I'm not like.
Luckily, he didn't say that to you before doing the part. I assume
he did not. Thank goodness.
No, I tend not to tell the actors. I also think, as an actor, it's not great to be told, "Hey, I wanted you to be like."
You be like other actors. Yeah, these two great actors.
Yeah, so
you're fine, but these two great actors, I'd like you to be more like them.
So that was Argylle in my head, meaning sort of the toughness of Connery, but the one eyebrow raise, which he did without me asking him to do. He did it perfectly with the girls kissing.
I do it by accident sometimes.
Well, the eyebrow has a mind.
The eyebrow. Yeah, well, I can't even raise one eyebrow, so well done. And then with Aidan Wilde, I was really sort of wanting what I call the Gene Wilder, Nicholson, that sort of the clues in the name, the Wilde, but the charm of Gene Wilder as well, and that's where Rockwell came about. But all my movies, you can ask me any character in any movie, and I'll tell you who it was based on. Who was inspired by, and then we find the modern day version, who then turns it into their role.
Had you guys ever? Were you keeping in touch over the years? Had you discussed anything else? I mean, I could imagine. He could fit into the Kingsman world. I mean, presumably.
Yeah, we talked about Kingsman. Still talk about Kingsman. I don't know whether Argylle screwed Kingsman up for you, but never say never.
Who knows? It's your universe.
Yeah. But I'm also you hit an age where you tend to want to work with people that you can get on with, and there's mutual trust and respect, and therefore you can do your best work. And you can make mistakes. You're not going to get punished for making a mistake, and you can fix it together. So you're free. So Yeah, so I also have a secret chemistry test of whether I think I'm going to get on with the person.
The most important chemistry test is
they
you
don't-
with the actor.
Yeah, they don't probably know that part. So actually, it's funny you saying, because I remember when you came down, and really, it was really nice when he came that first time he came to the house, and back then I was trying to encourage, like, again, it was about trust, and so that the actors would feel safe with me. And remember, I wasn't that experienced with actors, so the whole thing of directing actors was slightly intimidating. Well, very intimidating, because if you don't know how to do something, it's quite hard to ask someone to do. I would find it very hard to teach you how to speak Swahili. It's just not going to work out very well. I mean, I'll get a book and I'll figure it out, but I don't know how to speep Swahili, and I don't know whether you do. But if you do, it'll make my life a lot easier. Yeah. So, and that's, so when you came, and I knew Henry was a decent person from that point, and I just try to make sure that they feel safe and I feel safe, and especially back then I really didn't know anything about how, because acting it's still something I have no comprehension how they do it. Right? It's like the thing I really don't understand, and you've noticed I don't really direct them because I can't get my head around sex scenes. It's just something I don't understand.
Henry, take over. What do you got?
I also don't understand him. I'm not a fan.
But I feel quite awkward about it. Yeah, you go, right, okay.
You feel
what
awkward.
I need to do. Well, I do. Because I'm like, okay, guys, I need you two to get in bed, take your clothes off, and I go, wow, is this really acting? I suppose it is, but it's bloody odd.
I think there are circumstances where a sex scene actually is beneficial to a movie, and rather than just the audience. Yeah. And
I hope so.
It's
I agree.
That's the thing. Sort of, I think sometimes they're overused these days. Right. And it's when you have a sense that you're going, is this really necessary, or is it people just with less clothing on? Right. And that's where you start to get more uncomfortable, and you're thinking, there's not a performance here. Right. There's not a piece which is going to carry through into the rest of the movie, or be a crescendo moment. Down, by the way, as soon as that sex scene, that's what what? Hold on a second, let's pay attention.
For the record,
I saw Celine Ford as well. I was like, do I need to?
But you didn't go to drama school, right? So, which I think is a very, very is one of your secret weapons, right? So you have a different technique. But I cannot imagine when you go to drama school, they go, right, today we're going to teach you how to do sex scenes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a joke in there somewhere.
There is, but not to be said.
Yeah, not to be said.
No, but I do find it weird. It's like if my daughters became actresses and they went to drama school to learn how to do a sex scene, I'd be furious. Right.
Yeah, and I think sex scenes can be great in a movie. They can really help with the storytelling. Sure. But most of the time, the human imagination is going to trump it. Right. And so I think it can be a little bit of a cop-out if a TV show or a movie is just filled with sort of gyrating bodies, and you're going, okay, but I mean, what is this doing for us, apart from the idea of like, oh, naked person, great. Yeah.
Well, and
I agree. Are we just English prudes?
Perhaps. Yeah. But I mean, it's
well, there are different ways. Look, this
I hate directing them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of doing them.
Good.
Are you the friend in your friend group that maybe treats yourself a little bit better than everybody else? That's okay. I'm that guy too. You like to treat yourself well. Maybe it's getting that super expensive coffee once or twice a day. That's me. Getting the extra leg room on a flight because, damn it, you deserve it. Well, here's my question for you. If you're going to treat yourself to those kinds of things, why not treat yourself to the best options when finding a doctor? Your health is the most important thing in your life, bar none. Enter our sponsor, ZocDoc. It's the place where you can find and book tens of thousands of top-tier doctors, all with verified patient reviews. You heard me, verified patient reviews. Don't settle. Go for the best and find the right doctor for you today. With ZocDoc, you've got more options than you know. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare highly rated in-network doctors, in-network, near you, and instantly book appointments with them online. Once you find the doc you want, you can book them immediately. No more waiting and awkwardly waiting on hold and praying that you get that appointment. You've got it. You're there. You're in. If I needed a doc, I would use ZocDoc. Go to ZocDoc.com/happysad. Download the ZocDoc app for free. That's free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc, ZocDoc.com/happysad. ZocDoc.com/happysad.
Look, to segue into Argylle and what you achieve here, this is a very romantic film, and this is arguably, I don't know, arguably your most romantic film, I would say. You've called this your first date movie, in a way.
Yes, this is definitely a date movie.
And that was part of the, I think, in our earlier conversation that we couldn't really talk about, but I think it's safe to say, without revealing too much as we head into slight spoiler territory, there's like a very sweet, bittersweet relationship that really drives this story.
Yeah.
Has Matthew Vaughn mellowed? What's going on here? What happened to you?
You're getting soft on me.
I wouldn't say I've mellowed, but you know, in the end, you have in life. If you do the same thing again and again,
Sure.
I'm going to be bored, but I think the audience will be even more bored. And I felt Romancing the Stone when I saw that was it was literally my first successful date, and I went with this girl to remain.
I have no follow-up.
Her name.
Don't look at me, Henry.
And
Control yourself.
But we went to, and I took her to the film purely because the name Romancing the Stone. I thought I was going to hate it, and I liked it more than her. But what it did do, it gave us something to talk about afterwards in a less awkward manner, and it became a proper discussion. Called what she liked, I wasn't as keen on, and what I loved, she wasn't as keen on.
Yep.
But we both loved the movie, so I wanted to try and recreate that, a movie where, you know, either side of the coin, should we say, whether you're a man, woman, 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 man, man, and every other
iteration
of the world that we now live in.
Sure.
You can find an area of the film to latch onto and then debate whether you like it or not, but ultimately come out with a smile on your face.
Do you remember your first date movie?
I think so. I remember. I think it was a double date, and actually, I wasn't on the date. I mean, I don't remember who my date was, but I remember who the other people were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two friends of mine from school. It was Titanic.
Of course.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a date movie.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate date movie, arguably.
Yeah.
Until this one, obviously.
Oh yeah, I mean, for that last generation, I guess Argylle's probably the new Titanic, is what we're saying.
Well, I'll take that.
Yeah.
It's like half that box office,
Yes.
a third of it.
yeah. I'll be like, count me in.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah.
Exactly. I remember seeing, and I was actually I was probably, 18 or something when I saw Titanic. So arguably out of the demo, and yet I think I still sall it like 7 times in theaters. There was something.
7?
No, truly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was
7.
obsessed with it. I thought it really worked. I mean, it still does.
I think sort of it was the same for my group of friends. It was that's the movie we went and watched a lot of times. I think you did it because the girls are going to go watch it, and you're like, yeah, okay.
What movie do you
this
think
movie.
you've seen the most in a theater in your life?
It's got to be Titanic, because at the age of 17, I had to sort of start going to theaters less.
Right.
Myself. But yeah, probably Titanic.
Okay. What about for you, Matthew?
I know it was Raiders of the Lost Ark, because I saw Star Wars and sort of fell in love with movies at that point. But at the time I realized I fell in love with them, it wasn't in the cinema anymore.
Right.
And it was really annoying me because back then there was no videos. So you were like, oh my God, I can't see this movie again. So then when I saw Raiders, I went, I am not making that mistake again, and I'm going to keep going back and back. And so Raiders was just like, it was a movie that was very, very special to me.
I feel like I'm just thinking as we
and a close second was Back to the Future. I saw that a lot of times.
I mean, these are the ultimate rewatchable movies that and I could watch right now and still.
Yes. Yeah, me too.
Love. I was going to say, I feel like you need a bittersweet, tragic romance in your future, a Titanic level weepy that really just like kills us as an audience, Henry. Just plotting your future for you.
I mean, I have some ideas.
Okay. Is Highlander going to make me weep at the end?
Look, I'm not going to tell you anything. but it won't be obvious when it happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sneak up on me.
Trust me.
Let's talk about dance choreography versus fight choreography. Mm-hmm. Is it intimidating when you see in the script that opening sequence? I mean, you know your way around fights.
Yeah.
You can do that. You can do any manner of fight, from Witcher to whatever.
Yeah.
But that kind of intricate sequence, is it all the same? Is it all choreography in a way?
It's all choreography.
Yeah.
Until it's not. And I think with fights, the great thing about fights is that someone's always going to say, we're doing a fight scene, therefore we have to choreograph it. And you can be specific and change things anyway on the day. But with dance, people go, well, just dance, right? Even if it is choreographed. And that's where that starts to make me nervous. I'm like, wait a second, you want me to do what?
Yeah.
But when you're working with people like Matthew, who you know you can trust, it's a huge trusting relationship, an actor-director and actor-producer. And it's, you know, you can trust him. And so even if he's like, just do this, and you go, oh, I'm going to feel like a complete idiot doing this, you do it. And then you can say afterwards, like, Matthew, I feel like I look like an idiot. Yeah. And you say, no, trust me, and he'll show you. And then if you still feel, I think you've even said those words, if you still feel that you don't like what you were doing, then I won't put it in the movie.
Right.
And you go, oh, okay, well then I can be free. And that's a good feeling.
And I would imagine, yeah, because when I was watching it again, I think I can guess like at least one of those kind of moments, like that perspective shot on you when you have Dua up there. It's that close up on you from above. Yeah. That must feel mortifying in the moment to have to shoot that, because in isolation that feels probably pretty silly and crazy.
I mean, a lot of things in film in isolation are crazy and silly, and you get used to it. I mean, obviously, it's about respecting the person who you're doing those kind of shots with, and it's about making them comfortable, unless you're in the awkward position. But it's thankfully, Dua was a great dance partner, both figuratively speaking and literally. Yeah. And so those kind of things you're okay with. When you've got a professional crew, you know everything is done in a particular way, and there's some mastery at work. So you feel like you're part of a thing. When things start to feel a bit amateur, that's when you start to go, and you start asking questions. If you're asking questions, that's the wrong state of mind.
I do feel like, Matthew, you are inching closer and closer to a full-on musical.
I'm working on one now.
There you go.
Yeah. So it was, and actually, I was using some of these moments to see could I do it,
right?
And did I enjoy doing it, which I did, and yeah, I mean, I've always loved music. Well, I loved musicals when I was a kid, and then but I was in the 70s, so the new musicals were things, whether it was like Joseph or Jesus Christ Superstar and Cats and. Where these musicals, they were sort of like, they were, like Annie, you're just going, wow, they had great stories, but really belter songs, and I think and I was dragged to them by my mother as well, like to ballet, all these stuff. So I sort of just learned all this by osmosis, but I never, and then weirdly, I've always said I wanted to do a musical, but I couldn't find anything. I didn't want to do a remake of a musical because I thought, especially because I was offered to do whether it was Oliver or some, and I'm like, how do you improve on that?
Right.
And then Damien Chazelle sent me the script of the musical, and
he has some experience.
He knows he's doing. Well, again, I was like, why are you not? Well, Damien, what am I missing here? Why are you not directing this? I think this is really, really good. And then if you imagine the movie is Kick-Ass meets Wizard of Oz, all right, that's the best way of describing it. And it's really, really different, and it's fresh, and it excites me because I'm out of my comfort zone, and so I'm looking forward to trying to make a musical, which is, you know what, never say never and go for it. And I'll probably make some huge mistakes. But the great thing about movies, when you make a huge mistake, you can fix them before you show it to anyone.
Right.
But yeah, we've started very, very early prep, and it's exciting.
How are your vocal lessons going? You're obviously the lead singer.
Very well. Yeah, very well.
Do you have that ambition to? I mean, I don't know if we've discussed you singing before.
I don't have that ambition. No, I've been known to sing in the kitchen every now and again. But
I've been told you have an amazing voice. I heard it yesterday, and I was like, "Got my
Who are your spies? How do you know?"
Well, spies are spies.
Yeah,
you don't reveal your spies. Yeah.
I think if I ever ended up with some free time on my hands or a role which required it, I would love to work with a singing coach and really sort of see if I could take it somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I always enjoyed it. We went to the same school. And so I always enjoyed singing in chapel and stuff like that. And,
did you?
And, yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
I was just so angry I had to get out of bed.
That
so
too.
I was just sitting there going...
That too. But I do enjoy singing. And I would love one day to see
do you like a good
if I
hymn?
can take it somewhere. I do like a good hymn. Good rousing hymn. Jerusalem.
About to say a vow to thee, my country. Or, Jerusalem's a great song. Hymn.
So what are you singing at home? Are you singing hymns?
All sorts. It's a surprising
Give me a
variety.
Give me an artist you like.
No.
Good. Yeah.
No, I will
I
not.
thought he was going to ask you to sing then. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, here
Not that
we
bold.
go.
No, it's no. A lot.
We'll get there. I don't want to ruin your chances to be in Matthew's musical here on
Thank
the
you.
spot.
Thank you.
I had to cast him even when he couldn't sing, so it'd be fine.
I mean, yeah, it'd be worrying.
Let's talk a little bit about the challenges and excitement of your role in particular. We were alluding to this earlier, and I think we're starting to get into a little bit of spoiler territory.
Okay.
Spoiler warning, folks. The character you play, like it's always about like rounding characters, right, and making them feel as authentic and real as possible. That's not necessarily the task with your character, or is it?
Well, that was the challenge.
Yeah.
Is that you're playing both. You have a foot in both worlds. Argyle, as far as he's aware, it's heart attack serious. But as far as the movie's aware, it's less so.
Right.
And so you have to play it with the movie's tone in mind, and also the idea of Argyle taking himself seriously in mind.
Right.
Which is a fine line to tread, amongst everything else that's happening as well.
Let me just dive into like a super kind of spoilery question towards the end. Again, spoiler warnings.
Okay.
Who is the character that I'm seeing Henry play at the very end of this?
I don't know if Henry's playing a character, but there is a character called Mullet Man.
Can we talk about your interpretation of Mullet Man? That must have been a day on set. That's talk about trust in a director.
I mean, it's that same thing. When Matthew halfway through the shoot was like, "By the way, you're gonna have a mullet," and it was
It's like, get rid of the bloody flat top. I'm in.
it's one of those things where you go,
Right,
"Oh, I've
yeah.
trusted you so far. Might as well keep on trusting you."
Yeah.
Right.
And the rest we just kind of threw together. As far as sort of how he sounds and everything, I was like, I'm gonna throw this out there
Yeah.
because why not make it as polar opposite as possible?
Right.
And
It was fun that day.
it was fun,
It really-
and that's
it
the thing,
really-
and
really
it
was
is fun. You see, again, to the point of playing with a character and being able to play on set. With Matthew, I felt like I could do that again.
Right.
And it took a bit of time to warm up back into the concept of it, because I haven't had that opportunity. And working with Matthew, that is the personification of being able to play again, and you can see it.
Right.
You can see it in the character.
So this post-credit or mid-credit sequence that we see.
Mid-credit, yeah. Mid-credit. I didn't know what mid-credit was until recently. I was like, the mid-credit, and now I know what you mean, mid-credit.
Now, if I'm putting two and two together, this is a flashback that is actually almost from the next movie in a way. This is book one.
Well, it's from book one. So the movie is, as I did say to you, was book four. So
Right.
I was telling you the truth that this is
Yes.
about book four and book five. So book one, that is a scene from book one.
Okay.
And played by the lovely Louis Partridge.
Right.
And I know what your next question is. So all I'd say is Argyle wears very beautifully tailored Nero collar suits, so he obviously has to go to the best tailor in the world to get them made.
Sure. And there's only one tailor in Matthew Vaughn universe worth going to.
In not my universe, in any universe.
Oh, always go to the Kingsman.
Thank you.
But where to go next on this? Okay, so and that is intended to be the next film that you would shoot. Is book
Yeah.
one.
Listen, I don't want to count chickens.
Sure.
Blah blah blah. But yeah, it would be great because I imagine this gentleman would be in it as well. I mean, I cannot ever see an Argyle movie without Henry. He is
I won't see another Argyle movie without me.
Yes, exactly.
Line in the sand.
So-
I don't blame you.
So there's a whole concept how it all comes together in book one, the film, and then there's Mullet Man for number two, which I am desperate just because I think in that version of Henry will have more fun playing this role than anything he's done before. I do think because it will be like when it won't be trust me, I'll be like.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be,
Watch this.
Yeah. He'll be saying to me, trust me. And I'll be like,
oh
I don't know if
God.
I do. What's going on,
He's
Henry?
doing some roll cameras. Quick,
yeah,
he's doing something
yeah.
Give me
again.
a bottle of tequila. I only got one of these in me.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
But so Mullet Man is a different character than the young version.
I don't know. That time will tell. I do know, but I'm not going to say. There is a method to the madness.
No, I believe you. I
Yeah.
know there is.
Yeah.
Because the thing I'm having trouble, and again, all I would imagine will be explained
Yeah.
if we get there, is Ellie, obviously, again, spoiler warning, is not Argyle exactly. She's Rachel Kyle. But then we also do now see a character that looks awfully like Henry Cavill that coincidentally or not so coincidentally looks like the Argyle of her imagination. and that's
Does it? Looks like Mullet Man, not to me.
okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I need more time. I need to see it a third time.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair
There
enough.
are no more clues to who Mullet Man is in the film.
Okay.
No, there are not.
We talked a little bit about this before. I mean, let's give some props to some of the rest of the ensemble here because I love Bryce in this, Sam Rockwell, fantastic. It's interesting. You have to kind of you have to get in sync in a different way with Sam than you've probably had in any other co-star in your career. You're not playing scenes with him, but you're playing scenes with him.
Yes, and that was fun.
Yeah.
It was a new style of shooting, an innovative technique really to sell a fight scene, and it was a lot of fun working with Sam on that because we would spend the rehearsal days just watching each other, trying to learn how the other moves,
Right.
So we can
Bridge the gap between you. In a way,
yeah,
or-
so we can apply that to our own movement
Yeah.
while keeping our characters individual as well,
right.
because we are essentially juxtapositions of one another, and that's important to express while also doing
Right.
very similar things.
So the challenge from you as a filmmaker in the same
Filming it twice.
yes. Yeah, I mean, it's
Yes.
twice the time basically.
Yeah.
Same setup.
Half the time for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
I'm a
win.
big fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we do this on every movie,
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah. It was when we came up with the idea, and I was like saying, and we'll use blinking as a transition, and it was we actually, what I loved about it was, Henry's really good at fighting and fight coordinating.
noticed,
You know,
yeah.
the whole choreography. He was fantastic, and Sam is very good at dancing.
Yes.
So he has that muscle memory technique, and then seeing the two come together and doing it like they learnt it identically, but then, as Henry said, you had to do the identical movement with a totally different interpretation.
Right.
And one was
Yeah.
excellent and professional, and the other was a bit more scrappy and rough. Yet they both have the same result at the end, and that's it was really fun to watch. Really fun to watch. And then we said, and I was watching it, and it was literally on the day I went, hey, maybe it'd be pretty cool if we did this with them speaking. So old Rockwell had months to learn these all these lines. I said, Henry, I've got an idea, and he's like, what? I went, I'm going to put you now in on this shot, and you're going to say Sam's speech. And he's like, well, I'll try, but it's rather long.
Long speech.
And yeah, and he did brilliantly. He just went to it, and I went, oh, and again, then we wrote more scenes for you, like in more
Right.
scenes in the mirror. It suddenly became, it just unlocked a whole part of the film that wasn't
Right.
designed, but turned out to look like it was, and it's some of my favorite stuff. I think when some of your discussions with Ellie is actually, they're very sweet and powerful and quite emotional. When
Yeah.
I didn't. Considering they weren't in the movie.
Well, that's the thing. So
Yeah,
the character
it's crazy.
went from a gimmick to a fully fleshed character,
Sure.
and it became a part of Ellie's psyche, which was the comforting part of one's mind, which you retreat to when you need to.
Yeah.
And without Matthew saying on that day, here's a monologue to learn.
That wouldn't
Go.
have happened.
Getting trust.
With-
And without
Yeah.
you saying you'd do it.
Yeah,
So
well, yeah.
Some actors would have said,
True.
sorry, no.
Yeah,
I can't give me a
nope.
day. Maybe I'll learn it, and I'm not sure about it. And I'm very grateful because he went for it. And that's the great thing about creativity, because sometimes the craziest ideas or the least thought through ideas become
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant.
Driving to the set.
Yeah.
What if we try this?
Yeah.
'Cause, if you close yourself off to creativity
Yeah.
in the moment, like, what's the point? Like,
I couldn't agree more.
I want to talk to you guys about our sponsor this week. It's HelloFresh. Not that you need a reminder. You know HelloFresh. It's America's #1 meal kit for a reason. Every week when I get a box from HelloFresh, I know I am getting quality, I'm getting great meals, I'm getting simplicity, I'm getting everything I need on an affordable budget. Each HelloFresh box is always packed with farm fresh ingredients, and everything arrives pre-portioned for a moron like me. Yes, even me, who doesn't know how to cook, can cook with HelloFresh and make delicious, interesting, unique food. And when I say unique, that's important to me because I get bored with the same old thing. But with HelloFresh, you can dig into their biggest menu yet, with over 45 dinner options to choose from every week, and even more market add-on items that suit your lifestyle.
It works for any kind of timing for you. They have these 15-minute recipes that work if you're in a real rush. HelloFresh is just the best. So go to HelloFresh.com/happysadfree and use the code HappySadFree for free breakfast for life. You heard me right. 1 breakfast item per box while your subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/happysadfree with the code HappySadFree. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. So we now know, again, as alluded to in that mid-credit sequence, this is in the same universe as Kingsman. Was there ever a thought to have other Kingsman characters pop into this?
No. I think right now, again, you've got to... If you look at my... So Marv is sort of becoming this world of espionage. And I imagine, like, you have, let's say, Kingsman on the left, then you've got ARGYLLE very much on the right, and then there's a middle ground that one day I want to play with, which and who knows what that's going to be. But I see a world where where everything does come together one day, and not maybe some of the other characters we have as well from other movies. But it has to not feel like it, as you just said, it can't feel like a gimmick. It has to have a reason, and there's a few reasons that are quite compelling, but not yet.
Humphrey and Mullet Man will meet one day. This is what I'm getting from this, finally.
Well, was Humphrey in a weird way was sort of the beginning of the Mullet Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Humphrey walked so Mullet Man could run.
But you imagine JB and Alfie. I think that'll be a movie that people would love to see, The Dog and the Cat.
Yeah.
I know you can't say anything about this, Henry, but I've talked to Chad Stahelski a bunch. I'm so excited for you and Chad to get together.
Thank you.
On Highlander. This has all the ingredients of something very, very special. Were you a Highlander fan? How did this? So what's your passion for this material? What are you excited about exploring with the Highlander world?
I'm going to have to answer that very carefully.
I understand.
I am a Highlander fan. They were great fun movies. Obviously, I watched them when I was a lot younger and since rewatched, but also the TV show. I really enjoyed the lore behind it. That sort of sense of a tragic warrior with more of a story to tell than just a cool guy with a sword doing cool things. And this goes even deeper into that.
Chad told me this on the record that he wants to explore the TV show side, like the stuff that was explored there, which I think a lot of fans were very excited about.
I can't speak to that at the moment, but yeah, what they've done so far, and what we're doing with the development of the script is extraordinary. I think people are going to be really, really pleased.
Yeah,
well, I'm excited.
Yeah, the ambition sounds very big, like for the world.
Yeah, and I think it's the same as working with Matthew.
Yeah.
Big swings are important.
Yeah.
You play it safe. You're going to just go, I guess it was fine.
Right.
But you take a big swing, and then people love it.
Yeah.
Or they hate it, and sometimes hating it is just as good.
Yeah, I'd rather get some kind of reaction than that. Who wants a double? I always say you want the home runs or just the swings and misses.
Couldn't agree more. Grand Slam is what you want.
Right.
Yes.
Now wait, have you been shooting something recently? I'm very confused by this. I read something that said that you've actually been shooting a project in recent weeks.
I've been producing a very, very special movie. I'm very excited about it. I just saw half an hour cut together. This will have the same sort of impact as Kick-Ass did, and I can't talk too much. You ask Sam Rockwell. He just gives everything away in an interview. I'm like, Sam, we're under contract. You're not allowed to speak about that. No, and he's like, what? And then, it is a movie. What I can say, it is a movie that is written, directed, and starring my stunt team.
Oh wow!
It is a film like no other movie that's ever been made, and it's also got Chris Hemsworth and Sam Rockwell in it, plus some other very, very interesting cameos, and it's reinventing an action movie because it's a film where it's pretty extraordinary watching these stunt guys as they're acting and doing stunts at the same time, and you're not having to hide anything. Yeah. But sadly, my lead actor / stuntman broke his back in 3 places doing one of our stunts. It is incredible footage for the movie because it's in it, and we've now been filming.
Keep rolling.
Yeah, we did keep
Get
rolling.
out of the shot.
As I said, no, it is like no other movie. So then we filmed him in hospital, and so last week we were filming his recoupment and recuperating, and he's strong, but it's part of the movie about the danger of being a stuntman, and we're breaking some world records. It's got I think 56 action sequences in it that are incredible. It's funny. But it's original, and it's giving these guys I mean, they deserve. Stuntmen are they are the real superheroes, literally. And I don't think whether it's the Oscars, for some reason, stuntmen are not given the due respect that they deserve. And this movie, I just cannot tell you how excited. I'm just so excited, and I'm so proud of these guys. That's the best way of describing it, and they have knocked it out of the park.
I couldn't be more excited from everything you just said. Yeah, I was going to say, the stunt Oscar is something I wanted to bring up with you.
They've got to do it. They have to do it.
Unsung heroes. They're so good at their job that no one recognizes them.
Yeah. And some of these movies, they're half the film. These second unit directors, they're making half of some of these movies. It's crazy, and they get no recognition. Publicly.
I mean, there's whispers of it, but
it feels inevitable
no actual thing.
It feels like there's actual momentum building. I'm hoping.
I hope so. This movie, we have a very funny sort of how have those UNICEF and we do a Save the Stuntman video. It's very very funny, the most earnest thing, and I'm hoping the Academy see it and go, they've got a point.
Yeah.
One other thing, I know it's early days, but Warhammer. I mean, there's nothing more close to your heart than this. I know this.
That is true.
There are a few other things.
Well, yes.
I mean,
yeah.
Cal.
Professionally speaking.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a heart outside of work.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
But it must be so exciting to be able to actually dive into this world and be the one of the ones that is just steering the ship and figuring out what the world you want to create is on film and TV. What's this experience been like so far?
It is the greatest privilege of my professional career to have this opportunity. I can't say too much again. It's early days still. But to have this opportunity to bring it to the screen and be at the tiller so it can be faithful is key to me. And this is the stuff I've been dealing with since I was a kid. It's this sort of is the stuff I spend my free time daydreaming about as an adult as well. And I get to bring it into life, and there is no greater reason than I joined the industry than doing something like this, and I'm very, very happy to be here.
Have you tried to get Matthew into Warhammer or gaming at all?
No, not
gaming.
yet.
I love gaming. Wouldn't be gaming at all, but we've spoken.
Yeah.
Listen, I'd work with Henry in lots of different ways.
Okay.
Yeah. Watch the space.
Okay, fair enough. The Happy, Sad, Confused, Profoundly Random Questionnaire. Either you guys can take any of these. I know the answer to this, but that's okay. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Dogs.
Yeah.
Even despite the Argyle cat.
There is no cat better than a dog. Full stop.
By the way, so it's Cal and Baggins now too, right?
Yes, Baggins is the new addition to
and
the pack.
Baggins, I take it, is named after. I know you're Lord of the Rings love.
Yes. Yeah. He's because where we live is particularly Shire-esque. Shire-like. We felt it suitable that our little creature would be called Baggins.
Love it.
Will you get a Bilbo? Get another dog, Bilbo Baggins.
I think we'd find something else. I mean, because he's small and Cal's getting older now, we'll get another big one and then another small one. You don't want to have a full clutch of tiny dogs necessarily. So sort of, there's got to be a big one next.
Got to get a big dog.
Yeah.
I'll have you know, one of my dreams now that I'm a dog owner the last few years is to
What do you have?
I have a pit mix.
Wow. Okay.
Lucy is the best, the love of my life. I want to do a show with folks like you, Henry, and their dogs, just chatting dogs. So you're on the hook for the pilot, I'm afraid.
Hey, I'm into it. Yeah.
And I'll watch that.
Yeah.
I love dogs. I mean, I literally, you can't get enough of a dog.
Do you guys collect anything, respectively?
Warhammer.
Yeah.
Art. And wine. But I drink wine.
I'm sorry.
I don't think you collect wine if you drink the damn
away.
stuff. It's gone.
I mean,
but I do collect.
Yeah.
Art's a big passion of mine.
I'm getting to wine as well, but unfortunately, I do also like the taste of
Problem
it.
with it,
Yeah.
last actor you were mistaken for? Does that ever happen?
Brad Pitt. to me.
Brad Pitt,
yeah,
obviously.
all the time.
Yeah.
I can't. It's been a while since. Yeah, I don't really remember. It's been a while.
Yeah, you're Henry Cavill. Other folks are mistaken for you, maybe. I get that.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Worst noted director has ever given you?
Oh, I dare not share that.
I'm going to
dare not share that.
I'm going to give. Can I make your flat top just a little bit more flat?
Yeah, you can out him.
Yeah, this isn't nearly flat enough.
Yeah.
Can you
Needs
memorize
10% more flat.
Get rid of the flat top. How about a mullet? Yeah. So yeah.
Can you memorize this monologue in an hour for an old friend?
Yes.
Yeah, he's not the only director who's made me do that. It's becoming a regular occurrence actually.
Writing as we go, but that wasn't this, to be clear. Our time is up, sadly, but congratulations, gentlemen, on this one. I mean, like I said, I always love the big swings. This is a big swing. It is just hugely entertaining. I can't enthusiastically endorse this one enough. Hopefully, it's the first of many stories in the Argyle universe.
Hopefully so.
Fingers crossed.
And touch wood, and that's up to you.
No pressure,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
It's up to you guys now. Matthew Vaughn, Henry Cavill, thanks for being on the pod one more time.
Well, thank you for having us.
And so ends another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. Remember to review, rate, and subscribe to this show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm a big podcast person. I'm Daisy Ridley, and I definitely wasn't pressured to do this by Josh.